In this crazy world, we have a lot of questions. This show will help find those answers. Top Secret News is a show dedicated to bringing topics such as UFOs, abductions, implants, Men in Black, Area 51 underground bases, disclosure, weather manipulation, cryptozoology topics, and so much more. Host Christina George is no stranger to the airwaves and will be your host. Now, your host of Top Secret News, Christina George.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Top Secret News Radio Show. I'm your host, Christina George. For the next hour, we've got an amazing topic for you. So this has really kind of hit on social media because I have been getting messages for the last couple of days. I usually put the events up, as you guys know, right before the show. I get probably most of the replays or the views on replays. But I put this out and right away, a lot of people started messaging me about this, very interested. People who have followed the show for a long time, because I've been doing the show almost 10 years, have known that I have had interviews with a lot of targeted individuals, whistleblowers. It's kind of been so many different topics, but so many things seem to be tied in over the years. And of course, I don't have any of the answers, but it fascinates me, all of the information that comes through when I do these shows about these kinds of topics. Interestingly enough, one of my guests that will be on in just a few short weeks will be in our chat room, and he actually has knowledge about this. So tonight, if you guys have questions, make sure to put them in the chat room. And if you have feedback as well, this is what we're here for. This is what we want to hear. So that being said, tonight my guest is David Edwards. And David's a 39-year-old, and he's originally from Sacramento. He started working for the city as a parking enforcement, and then he was working as in the city as parking enforcement, and prior to that, he was a loan officer. In the early spring, he began hearing voices. They seemed to know what he was thinking and saying, and the voices would actually respond. Much like the claim of many targeted individuals that I've actually interviewed, the voices would say anything and everything to hurt him. He's come to the conclusion that whatever is causing this aren't very great people. So now David has been on a journey to try to find a way to cope with the V2K, which is voice to skull technology. Here's the voices more or less behind his right ear as well as inside of his head. And he says that there's actually sounds like a literal team of people speaking to him in his mind, and they won't stop talking. More than that, they're actually hearing his subvocal speech. They hear him when he's writing as he sees things in his mind, and they've actually progressed now to torturing him, and he has no way to stop it. But we're gonna talk about this. He's actually come across some information that may connect to this, that may give people who are dealing with a similar situation some help. So we're gonna see how this goes. Welcome to everybody. As soon as we get our guest on, I will start responding to all of the comments in chat. So thank you and welcome everybody. All right, let's bring our guest on. Hey David, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being on the show, but thank you for reaching out to me originally, because it was kind of out of nowhere. I literally was just getting ready to start this show back up, I believe, and I received a message from you asking if I knew about this technology and really anyone or anything that could possibly help.
Mm-hmm.
And although I didn't, I have interviewed a lot of people, of targeted individuals actually, that have experienced similar things as you are. So
Okay.
I guess the very first question I have for you is, do you consider yourself a targeted individual?
I do.
Okay, and if so, why?
Because I'm powerless and I'm at the complete mercy of technology that I can't rid my body of. People can speak into my mind against my will. I have no way to block it, no way to stop it. The mind doesn't have a firewall. I can stop talking and you can't hear my voice, but I can't shut my mind off. So I'm at the mercy of a group who can talk into my mind and they can hear my subvocal speech, and it is a nightmare.
So when exactly did all of this start, and like what were the first signs?
It was earlier in the spring. I didn't immediately think V2K. I had all this V2K stuff was completely foreign to me at the time. Um, Through research and studying, I was able to open up a whole new world that I wasn't even aware of. I didn't know what a targeted individual was. At first, I seriously thought my phone had some type of malfunction where like a magnetic field created or something, and something was coming out of my phone into my ear. But that just wasn't the case at all. It wasn't nothing to do with my phone. It was that I could hear it with no electronics on me.
Now, you first started hearing these voices, like what did they originally start saying to you? And was it just one person? Was it multiple people? Or did it just kind of escalate over time?
Well, I was actually at a job interview when it started,
Oh, wow.
and they were talking to me during my interview about what I was doing. It was a warehouse job. I was picking up crates of sodas, and they were speaking on my exercises I was doing in front of the interviewer. I sat down with the manager to speak as he was speaking to me, and they could hear our conversation that I was having. And I had left my phone in the car and nothing on me, and I just didn't know what to make of it at the time. And it wasn't until I started studying that I knew what it was.
Now, I know that a lot of people I've interviewed that have gone through this, go through, I guess, many different stages of what their think's going on. First they're trying to, like you did, figure out, hey, is this interference? Is it electronic? Like, what could that be? Um, but eventually, as more time goes on, then you think, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Am I crazy? Because I can't turn this off and nobody else is hearing these voices. And again, if you were to go to a doctor or anybody that didn't know anything about this topic, that's probably what they would think as well. And
Yes,
immediately you would be deemed, 5150, and you'd be seeing a whole different type of doctor.
that's right.
Did you kind of go through those different stages as well? And what makes you feel like that you're so vulnerable and that's what's targeting you, that why they would target you?
Well, I don't. My whole outlook on. Well, let me start with the first. No, I didn't do the medical thing, but as far as the why I feel I'm targeted, my whole view on it has changed with all the research I've done, all the studying I've done. I don't think that I'm particularly targeted.
Okay.
What I think happens is that due to a chemical process in the body, I become sensitive to an environment I just don't know is there, which is why I can hear stuff that somebody can't. Um, I don't think anybody pointed something at me and attached the actual signal to my head. No, but there is one attached to me. I just think I became at some point over the tip, and I became sensitive to it, and then it connects to me.
Okay. And well, I mean, if you didn't feel that you're a targeted person, now that you're out there targeting, talking about all of this, and you probably will end up being very targeted if you weren't, because it seems that like that's kind of the case. Everybody that I've had on the show that has come out, they've been, back in the day on YouTube and but had all kinds of additional issues after getting out there and talking about that. Does this like worry you doing
But
shows and talking about this?
you mean speaking about this in public is going to draw some type of negative effect on me?
Yeah.
Um, like what happened?
Right. Do you think that are right? Because it's not, you're saying at this point there's like a whole team of
Mhm.
different voices that will tell you things. Do you think that the stuff that they're telling you, is it something that they want you to share? And is it a positive thing? Or is it something that they would not want you to share? So if you shared it anyway, would it
No,
have a negative impact?
I don't think that. So that was multiple parts to that. So let me just start with the first one. I don't think that coming public and speaking about what's happening to me is going to increase nor decrease anything that's happening to me. The voices that I deal with are of pure evil in nature. So there's nothing really I can say out loud or do that's going to provoke them. You get what I'm saying? I can't control what they're doing to me, but they're at their ceiling as far as I'm concerned. Um, the things they say are horrendous. They're horrific. They're things that you wouldn't say to somebody looking them in the eye or even behind their back. I don't want to, if it's respectful, I don't want to get into detail about what I'm being told. That's more or less just because, like, when I speak to other targeted individuals, support groups, or especially over the phone, I do not want to educate anybody who is doing what's happening to me. So if I speak to a targeted individual, I'm careful on what I say because I don't want to educate their perps.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Courtney's saying right. Don't give it the power. And I agree. Now, another question. So when you hear these voices, do they speak to you by name?
They do at times. So they'll use my name to getting my attention is such a big thing for them. Getting my, not me talking, but my subvocal speech to respond to them is such a big thing for them. So they'll use my name because it'll help in respond me my subvocal respond to them. So they do.
Okay, because I guess where like my thinking is like, so a lot of targeted individuals like have like a lot of background or information that they could share. A lot of the target individuals don't want to talk. So that's why I was saying, do they know your name? But maybe you're just intercepting a certain frequency, and
Well, they do know my name, but for the most part, they hear my subvocal speech. So
mhm.
they know what I think. They might know how I think. They're always 10 steps ahead because they know what's in my head. Um, you can go ahead, please. Oh, what were you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What was the question?
Oh, uh, we were just talking about how would it change anything if you like them knowing your name? Like, did they know it originally, or as time went on, did they start saying your name? Because I mean, if this
Mm,
is something that it actually is hearing, and they're hearing people talking to you, or I mean, that's something that could be learned as well.
Um, I don't know if they knew my name at first. That I don't know. But they did learn it. They learn a lot of things from my mind. It sucks because I don't want to speak to it physically or even using my subvocal speech in my mind. Um, they know that, and they do anything to coax my mind into responding.
Interesting, interesting. Now, I trying to walk around. I know you don't want to like talk exactly about what it's telling you to do, but it's obviously stuff that would be out of your character. I mean, but would it be something like they would want you to like harm somebody else or harm yourself, things like
It's
that?
it's a whole spectrum of things. Um, they surround me with a tornado of psychology, if I can call it that, that completely engulfs my mind. Um, I can tell it's very strategic and not well planned out, but I can tell it's planned out. Um, they've grown with me, as I can say, going down this rabbit hole, trying to figure out what V2K is and all that stuff, I guess. What they say is horrendous. It's horrific. It's things that I'm not going to want to say on this podcast. But there is nothing nice. There's nothing positive. They want to stop me from thinking. Every thought that I have, no matter what it is in my head, if I say apple, somebody repeats apple. If I say bear, somebody's going to repeat bear in my mind. And that's a common formula that I'm living every day. And what's happening is it's clouding my thought. I'm thinking irrationally. I get confused. I get migraines now. And it's just a nightmare that it just sucks to be living right now.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. Courtney said it too, and I'm so sorry that this is happening to you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would want to have to live like that. You know,
No,
especially you have absolutely no control.
it's inhumane what's happening to me. What's happening to me is on a whole nother level of like just illegal stuff you can do to a human being. I'm being destroyed from within, and I have one cure that I found. My whole thing right now in my time is just to, when I first got this, everybody I've seen, research, trust me, I've done a lot of research, and everybody goes down a rabbit hole and they're hitting stuff on the way down, trying to figure out what this is. It's a total spectrum. Some people, keep in mind that these voices that I hear, they could have put on a production. They could have acted like they were aliens. They could have acted like they were Darth Vader, a celebrity, a lot of things with the computer. They didn't. They kept their regular voices. So there's a wide spectrum of what everybody's experiencing. And I'm trying to, how do I say this? Put myself in a position where I can create something where people like me have all the information up front instead of going down the rabbit hole that I went down.
Right, right. Okay. We have an anonymous Facebook user who says, "This is very interesting. I have a question, but do not mean any disrespect. Has he ever had any seizures in any way? The reason
No
I
seizures.
ask is I've had grand mal seizures myself, and at times I hear voices, but very, very rare."
So no seizures, no alcohol, no drugs. I exercise regularly. I live a normal lifestyle. I walk my dogs. I ride my bicycle, ride a motorcycle. I don't have any adverse health effects now.
Have you? Oh, it's George. Okay. Thanks, George. You're not connected on Facebook, I guess, through here, so that's why. Um, the voices that you're hearing are are they very distinct in the differences? Are they all male voices, female voices?
Um, I would say 80-20, 80% male, 20% female.
Wow.
These are adult voices, not robotic, not abnormal. They're not cartoon in nature. They understand sarcasm, which is definitely something AI doesn't do. Um,
Okay.
they're
Right.
very real.
Right.
And they're not, how do I say this? They're not using a lot of etiquette in the way they speak. Their grammar is pretty, as you would expect for someone talking like that. A lot of cuss words are going on.
Well, Courtney's saying, do they show you anything in your mind's eye ever? Or is
No,
it just all vocal?
it is vocal. I'm only receiving subvocal speech, or only receiving speech into my mind, and they can hear my subvocal speech. I do not receive any images in my mind. As far as V2K goes, it's just those two things, but I also get skin irritations as well, the rashes.
Okay, for people who don't know anything about V2K, like they're just joining this, it just sounded like an interesting topic. Can you give a little brief rundown of what that is?
So, voice to skull is exactly what it says. It's putting someone's voice into somebody's skull. This technology has been around since the 50s and 60s. It is not new. I just want to clarify that this is not new technology. It's just unheard of. It was new to me, but it's old. Um, Basically, users of a device can speak into a subject's mind against their will. At some point, a signal attaches itself to your mind, your inner ear, your brain. You receive information. It's basically like you're on a phone call, but you can't hang up. I hear them like a phone call, but I just can't hang it up.
Right. Well, Courtney said something interesting. She said Elon Musk is trying to do something like that as well.
Oh no, so that was 2000 and I want to say 2016. Actually, it was Mark Zuckerberg was looking into synthetic telepathy. And if we can stop for a second just to get the names out, it's all the same thing. Voice to skull, synthetic telepathy, Havana syndrome, a few other names out there. It's all the same thing. Voices in the head. The hum that is heard by some people in America is part of V2K. I also get synthetic tetanus in my ear. I get the hum as well. It's been around since a long time, but Mark Zuckerberg actually had a department of Facebook that was supposed to lead the next generation into synthetic telepathy. They were heavily researching that, and they ended up just not doing it. So that is a very real fact. I actually reached out to Facebook, a lot of people, and was trying to get a response. I feel as if I'm a beta test for it, honestly.
Okay. We have, let's see. Justin is saying, perhaps I missed a question. Has he ever been assessed for schizophrenia?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Fair enough. Dialeka says, I think when I started remembering things about my abduction was from a childhood. I remembered it was around when I was 4 or 5. I had seizures. All of a sudden, I had iron problems in my blood. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on with that. Now, if you could, so it sounds like, this is more of to me, in your situation, is more of some type of a technology that maybe got into the wrong hands, because again, you would think that if it was military or something like that, it would be very specific of what they were wanting you to do, or things like that. Or do you think it's something completely different? Like, who do you think is controlling all this?
Well, my view of everything is a bit different just based on the research. You got to kind of stay away from the ghost stories, I can say. You don't want to go down the wrong hole and your mind's out in space. It's how do I say this? It's a radio field that we all exist in. You drive in it, you bathe in it, you sit in it, you live in it. At some point, you just become sensitive to it with a buildup of materials in your body. That causes you to experience things like V2K. Some people, they do not hear the voices, but they get shocks in their legs, they get the rashes, they might get the tetanus in the ear. We all live in the radio field, but some people can experience it differently based on what's in their bodies.
Interesting. So, like, where have you been able to find support? Have you just gone online, or
Well, as far as support, a lot of self-confidence definitely comes into hand, standing strong and self-esteem. But as far as support groups, Facebook does have them. Voice to skull support groups, synthetic telepathy support groups, platforms such as TikTok have users who post videos about this kind of stuff. They're easy to talk to. A lot of networking can be done, especially with social media.
Yeah, Courtney says, almost sounds like the way spirit comes through, like clairvoyance. And I will say, being a psychic medium myself, I hear spirits, but I also can visually see what I'm speaking to. So it's, a little bit different. But there are a lot of people who do have abilities, but I would think that this would be something that you would have had all along, or for a very long time. Like this, like just out of nowhere, just popped up and started, right?
Yes, and I want to be clear that I don't think of what I have as any kind of clairvoyance. It's a literal technology disease, just to say it like that. It doesn't sound biological, but once you understand the science behind it, it is. It's a technological disease that I caught.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, other targeted individuals that I've had on the show, would talk about things all the time that it's pretty much like what you're saying. It's like we've got, power wires, and we've got telephone wires, and we've got now the, 4G, 5G, everything that's around us that, yeah, it could definitely disrupt things. And I would say also maybe activate you genetically or whatever, however your makeup is, to where this is when you're more connected. It's just, well, I guess what throws me, and I'm sure it throws you too, is who are these people who are behind this? Because it's men, women. It's not, you say that it's not like they've got like great grammar and
Well, and then to be clear, so I've met many people, not a lot, a handful of people, I should say, who are experiencing what I'm experiencing. We all have the same thing, but we experience it differently. I do
okay,
have a friend I met across the country. She also has what I have. There are people, a team, speaking into her mind. Now, keep in mind when I say team, when I use words to describe them, I always call them it. I don't want to give them credence or credit. I don't call them a family. They might be a family. They might be friends. They might be coworkers. I call them a team because they talk to me, working together as a team. But other people, the people that speak into their mind, are crazy and messed up like my voices are. Um, some are nice. Some are AI.
oh,
You have to keep in mind that, um, like for example, the people who speak into my mind cannot be trusted, obviously. But a common theme that they've kept is that I'm connected to a cell phone, that they actually have a cell phone, and my subvocal speech comes out of a cell phone, that they can hear me through it. That's incredibly frightening. Um,
yeah.
so, were you getting the phone or something?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So they can hear me through a phone. Other people, you don't know if it's a phone. If it is a phone, you have to keep in mind the power that these people have. They could just leave it on next to a TV all day long, and I would have to hear it forever.
Now, how long has this been going on since?
March, April.
Okay, so not a lot of time. I mean, does it ever make you feel like you are going to go crazy? The fact that you just can't shut it down, it's got to interfere with your sleep, everything. That can
It
weigh
is
heavy too.
it's a complete debilitating disease. No disrespect to any cancer patients. I wish I had terminal cancer compared to what I have.
Wow.
I am completely robbed of my dignity and humanity. It's it's all gone. Um, I'm basically going day to day. You just got to keep strong and just keep moving forward, just because I'm powerless to stop it.
And
And
you
then,
don't feel like you have any control. I mean, have you thought about maybe doing like hypnotherapy to block it or
yeah.
stuff
So
like that?
as far as any cures go, and then if we can go back earlier, I think Jeff asked about schizophrenia.
Yes.
Um, I wanted to let him know that, for example, putting my finger in my ear does have an effect on what I hear. It lowers the volume of what I hear. So
Mm.
there is literal sound coming out of my ear as opposed to going in. Um, I have I drove an hour away from my house to where there was no cell phone signal of any type into the hills. I paid $20, left my phone in the car. It was airplane because no reception. To go on a cave tour, 150 feet down into the bottom of a cave, I can still hear them. I went from Sacramento, I drove out to San Francisco, Alameda, I could still hear them. They talked to me the whole time I was driving. I went to Grass Valley, you're from here, known for dead receptions, and could hear them all throughout Grass Valley. The only place that has had any significant effect, Kaiser Hospital on Morse, downtown at Mercy Hospital, going into the basement of hospitals does have an effect on this. It lowers the volume of what I'm hearing. I can still hear it, but it's like the reception's getting bad in the bottom of hospitals.
Interesting. That's interesting. Courtney says it sounds almost like sonar or something like that.
Yes, I do believe it is an ELF signal. ELF, extremely low frequency, exact same signals that submarines use. This is why I know I can't escape it. People that I've spoken to, a stewardess who goes all over the country, says she hears it no matter where she goes. One guy said he lived in New York, went to Tennessee, didn't hear it, went back home and re-caught it, and he can hear it again. Moved to Florida and it didn't go away. So I don't know if distance actually does anything.
Well, that would be interesting because, I mean, look, there's all kinds of technology out there that we have no idea we even have. When it finally does come out, it's been, they've had it for like 50 years. And then they're like, it's so old that they're like, well, we can let everybody know. So this, and as much as Zuckerberg, Musk, all of those are working on telepathy types of technology, if we're doing it now, we've been doing it for a long time. So
Yeah.
again, wouldn't surprise me. Michael's actually the guest that's going to be on. He says, David, out of the voices, is there one that appears to be more dominant than the rest? And if so, this could be like a handler.
No, so none are more dominant than the rest. Obviously, like for example, just naturally, I talk a lot more than my own brother does. So that can translate onto what they're doing to me, but not one of them is in charge. It's like they all are. They're all, how do I say this? It's like they're rehearsed in what they're saying.
Okay, Andrew. So do you think that, it's like their job, they have different shifts. So that's why you hear different voices at different times. And if you feel like it's scripted, is this kind of like behind the scenes, they're planning it out, and then these are just the people that go and play out the scenario in your head?
Well, they lead me off a mental cliff every day. It's a lot of ups and downs emotionally that I have to go through, a total roller coaster of emotions. It is scripted, but I think it protects them. And I say it protects them so they're not identifying themselves. So they don't just speak freely. They don't ever overtalk each other. I never hear them yawn. I don't hear them eating. I never hear them like small talk each other. What I hear is very consistent, and the words may change, but the general what they're doing doesn't.
Interesting. Wow, this is fascinating because, again, I've had many interviews with targeted individuals. This is a much different interview, but it is very, very, very interesting. Now, I know that one of the things that we had actually talked about was that you think that you may have found a way to either stop this or help.
Yeah,
And
and that was the
I
reason.
think that's important to talk about.
Yes, and that is the reason I'm here. Not to share horror stories, which I hate doing. It's just to provide an answer. So I've done a lot. Quora, Reddit, Google, like everything I can think of. I've typed a million things into the YouTube search bar. I never once saw Lookout. His name is Lookout for Charlie. I've never seen his YouTube channel, and I've typed everything into YouTube trying to find a cure. It wasn't until somebody showed me his channel that I actually discovered it. It's not even searchable. He goes into depth. Now, I do request anybody who watches him to definitely judge him as a person as well. What he says, how he says it, like, take him serious. I believe him. He's a forensic analyst, and he had V2K. And he provides, not only on YouTube, but on his blog site, a step-by-step instruction on how he got rid of V2K. And I've only been doing it for a few weeks. He said it takes about 3 months. But I believe him because he provides so much information. He gives detailed pictures of his own body and how he cured himself of it. And he's not experiencing it anymore.
Wow. So you've been doing it now for, you said, a few weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely have to have you come back in 3 months and
Yeah.
see if it's anything's changed. But in these 3 weeks, have you seen any difference? Have you felt any different?
No, not any difference yet, but I feel a lot better.
So
Like,
just
like
physically.
my overall well-being, I feel a lot better.
Okay, and then so what are some of the things that he says that you need to do, the steps?
Prior to the steps, it's just first understanding what it is. Now you have to, I don't want to say drink the Kool-Aid, but you got to put yourself in a position where you say, I believe Charlie. Watch what he says. He's literally saying it's a buildup of a biological metal in your body, whether it's from the environment or COVID vaccine. There's a buildup in your body of metal that fused with a fungus. That fungus is down in your lower right ear where you can't even reach. That is why most people hear it in their back of their right head, where I hear it at. The whole point of his cure is to deplete your body of the metal and the fungus. So there are a lot of steps. It's all over the counter stuff, by the way. Potassium iodide is definitely something I take. Epsom salts, cilantro metal detox. I know I'm going to miss a few things here.
Of course.
Cleaning your body definitely is one of them. He is saying there's a biofilm as well that's covering your body. And he provided pictures of him peeling off the biofilm, pictures of the metal, pictures of everything. So what he's saying is that eventually you reach a boiling point where the accumulation of the metal and the fungus collects a signal out of the air. And that's why I woke up with V2K. But it's not just that he provided a cure and I'm here saying, oh, there's a cure I found. I took it a little further. I went into the comment sections of his videos and sought out people who were responding to him. And people are responding to me saying that they're being cured of it following his steps. I want to point that out as well.
Yeah, Courtney says, yeah, you need all of that. And she said, makes sense when you think about it. Where does all the pollution go? In our glands, it gets stuck in our body. We also know that, there's chemtrails. There's all kinds of things that are sprayed, into the air. It gets on our food. We inhale it, everything. Probably much more than it used to be. I mean, you're getting it in every way you possibly can. So I definitely could see where it could build up in people for sure, especially certain people.
Yeah, you're right.
Michael says, you are a very good speaker, David.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then she says, cleansers and everything, we spray all of that in our homes, so we're constantly, inhaling all kinds of stuff that we don't really understand, and we just kind of go day by day. But how horrible people, I mean, think about it. If you're just absolutely fine one day and tomorrow morning you wake up and not only are you now hearing voices, but they are telling you to do they say some of the worst things you could ever imagine, and you can't stop it. Man, it's just
It's a nightmare. Trust me,
yeah.
it's something that I wouldn't want anybody to experience.
Yeah, and that's what most people, that I talk to say the same thing. Courtney says, are you in a city? Yeah, actually, we live in the Sacramento area.
Mhm.
Now, have you gone out to like really rural areas or up to say the national forest or anywhere like different areas to see if it's stronger in certain areas?
How do I describe it? It's not that it's stronger. Like for me, yes, I've gone all directions. It's not that it gets stronger. It just like it shifts. So I can still hear it, but it's just at a different angle. I don't know if it's stronger or if it's weaker. The only times I could tell it was weaker was at the bottom of a hospital.
And you said in two different ones, it made a huge, well, not, I wouldn't say huge difference, but you could definitely notice that there was a difference in how strong of you were hearing it.
Yes.
So does it? Oh, hold on. It says, Dilek says, keep it organic. When you are cleaning the house, use vinegar. It kills germs. You don't have to deal with chemicals. Now, are you on a much more natural diet? Like, is that part of his steps of, you know?
Yes. Eating clean. Sugar. He's saying that this disease feeds off of sugar.
Mm.
So
Well, and
cut it all
if you
out.
look at boxes, just about everything that we eat has a whole lot of sugar. So
Yeah.
that would, interesting. Okay. Courtney says, I'm sure you try as hard as you can. Yes. Well, how long do they say before you should be noticing some type of a change? Or
Now everybody's different, so he didn't get into specifics on when I should see results. Um, with the people I have contacted, one lady saying she was 90% sure that it was like 90% gone, and she was on it for a few months.
okay, and it complete are the people you're talking to? Are they saying it's like completely stopping it? Is it just diminishing it?
I haven't spoken to anybody who's past the 3 month mark and said that it was completely cured. I haven't met that person yet. The people I have met have been in the middle of it, and they were seeing results.
Okay, great. Yeah, Dalek says, yeah, just like cancer, it grows with sugar too. There's actually a lot of illnesses that, yeah, when you get them, that's the first thing they tell you to cut out of your diet is sugar. Now, from the most of the people that you've talked to that are experiencing this, you said that most of them or some of them have the same thing where it's very negative, really bad stuff, but you said you've also talked to some people that it's positive. It's
Yes. Now, keep in mind, like the technology side and like the entire V2K universe. I could talk to you about that for 2 days in a row. Um, but as far as voices go, keep in mind the human factor of it. Um, I would never do it, but if I was speaking into somebody's mind, like I would get tired of talking mean to them at some point, you know? So everybody experiences it differently just because you have to remember that the voices are human, some are not. Um, One lady I met, she lost her job, she lost her kids, she lost her house, she is living in a car. That is somebody who I invited to our support group. The leader of our support group, the voices did the same thing to him. He had lost everything. But years later, they're still talking to him. And he's telling me that they're not nice to him, but they're um, they give positive annotations to him. Like they let him know that it wasn't his family that caused it and stuff like that. So it's weird, you know. And I let people I speak to know, even if the person that you're hearing is speaking nice to you, no matter what they say, that person is speaking to your mind against your will. They are not your friend, you know. I definitely don't get into specifics about detail on what they say because I just wouldn't want to educate somebody else's nightmare and make it worse on them.
gotta love my office. It just muted me. How long do you think that you will try this process? Um, do
Um,
you
I'm,
think like 6 months and you'll say, okay, this isn't working? Will you just try it for as long as it to see how it works, or
well, this is the only known cure that I found. Period. If this doesn't work,
back to square one?
yeah. So I take it day by day. I will see it through. If I even see a small result, then I'm gonna pick up what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Well, me personally, I'd love to kind of, follow you through this journey and see if it helps, because I'll tell you, if it really does what people claim it does, this is huge
Yeah.
because, you know, the targeted individual and the V2K victims is what I want to call them. There are tons of them out there. It's
Yeah.
not just a handful here and there. A lot of people don't want to, I've found, like, don't want to talk about it publicly. They're embarrassed. They don't want to be judged. Most people don't know anything about this. So you try to reach out to them, you know, they're probably going to think you are crazy. So it makes it very hard. So number one, doing shows like this with people like you, David, really helps other people out there that might come across this. For just like, you know, Crazy Charlie, you found him on a whim. You weren't even expected. Nobody even knew who he was, and you found him. You know, there may be people searching and find your story and then connect and be like, wow, you know, there's actually maybe some hope.
Well, being a targeted individual, and I know everybody who has what I have, it's incredibly difficult to explain this to your family.
Yes.
Not only do you have to explain what it is, but you also have to like teach them what it is as well, because it's not a known, like, well-known thing. That is a common theme that I've seen, people not being able to explain it to their family, but we found solace in each other.
Yeah, I can. And how many, you say you have a support group that you go to, how many people are involved in that right now?
Well, I'm actually in quite a few. I'm in a few broader groups as well, just targeted individual title groups. But I'm in a smaller group that's called remote neural monitoring. That's what I have. They were remotely neural monitoring me. There's 42 of us, and we all have it.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. And you know, I would begin to, you know, I'd love to meet you in person, you know, maybe meet some of these other people that are going through this and follow you guys to see if it helps. Because again, if it does, this is hope that a lot of people have not had. Now,
Yes.
whoever, go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm
No, you're
sorry.
fine. Go ahead.
Um, Hope is such a big thing with this. Like I've come to terms that if this cure doesn't work, then I just have this for the rest of my life. There's people who, let me hold this. There are people who have experienced this 10 to 15 years.
You're right.
The woman that I met, she's had her for 3 years, and she tells me that they've been talking to her 24/7 for 3 years. When I say 24/7 as well, I want to be clear. It's every moment. So every moment that you have, there's a response to it. Um, Anytime you have an emotion, there's a response to it. Every time you think, there's a response to it. Forever. It never stops. The mind gets real tired from that happening. And that's what's happening to us.
Now, Luana says, and I don't know if this really lines up with yours. She says, I experience mind chatter like that, like this, and notice that for me, it comes from my own past thoughts and beliefs, even what others have said that I've heard, and also come with emotions, both negative and positive. But the chatter for you doesn't really have anything to do with your own life. It's just a bunch, just them saying a bunch of really bad stuff, right? Or does it?
Yes. Well, no, they can hear my subvocal. So they definitely talk forever. They never stop. They can hear everything I think. So it's not that I add fuel to the fire. I don't even want to be near the fire, but somebody took the can out of the car, and I'm being forced to like spew out stuff out of my mind. I can't turn my mind off.
Now, are they ever able to have control to make you respond or say anything that you don't want to say?
That is 100% correct. So a lot of what they're doing is to coerce my mind into saying something that they wanted to say. That's where a lot of the stress and pain in V2K comes from. I don't want to say one word to them. I don't want to live another moment them. But they're doing a lot of. Keep in mind, it's just me against a team. So they're doing a lot of stuff to create subvocals. For example, they might repeat something 10,000 times into my mind just to get my mind to say it once.
Wow. That's definitely overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think it would be scary too, like if they can have that type of control where they can at will make you say whatever they wanted, like that could put you in some really bad predicaments.
And that's like they are definitely ill intent. They hold no surprises with that. They wish me nothing but the worst. People who are in my position, usually it's you're somehow manage this and you can live through it, or something bad is going to happen. And my voices make it. They're not shy about that. They have very ill intent with my life, and I'm
Oh,
powerless to stop it. Um, I have no way to turn off my mind, and they're like, there's no firewall for my mind. And I say that, and I don't mean to keep repeating that, but I just wanted to put an emphasis on that. Um, they say stuff into my mind so much that my mind like unwillingly responds to it, and it causes a like a mental Tourette's to happen. I want to call it that.
and you normally like you fight like be, like responding because I know you say you don't want to respond or talk to them at all. Do you think that they just overwhelm your brain to the point that it just
Yeah.
automatically?
Yeah. So the psychology of it is very simple. It's not. I'm just in a point where they can just use it against me. So um, it's not a sensory deprivation thing. It's the exact opposite. It's an overflow of sensory information that I'm receiving to my brain, and because I'm receiving so much information being bombarding my mind all the time, it does cause you to think irrationally. So in my mind, I'm like having a war going on as
Right.
I'm trying to live my normal life.
Oh my goodness, David. Well, I hope for not only your sake, but for any other person who is dealing with this kind of technology, this kind of mental torture, that this process that you're following is going to help.
Yeah.
Because again, if it can help you, it can help so many people. And as you said, like people who I've interviewed before, this has been going on for 5, 10, 15 years. So just imagine you've only had it, for
Hmm?
less than a year. Could you imagine like year after year after year after year, it just never stops? Like that would be, I would think after a year, that would be enough to send somebody over the edge mentally. But do you think that
Well,
maybe that's the purpose? Like
yes, sending you over the edge mentally is 100% part of what perps do to people, to drive you completely insane. It's not just driving you insane. Anything you have, you're going to lose your job. If you have payments on your car, you're going to lose your car. You can't work like this with that much going on inside of your mind. Um, they want everything from you. They want to see you either in jail, they want to see you dead. Um, any positivity that I have in my life at all is a total bad thing for these perps. I go on my motorcycle. The whole time they're screaming into my mind, and I can hear it over the motorcycle, over the air on the freeway. I'm hearing them screaming into my mind. It's a nightmare.
Yes, it definitely sounds that way. Well, as I said, if you're willing, I, love to keep in touch with you, follow your
Yep.
journey, have you back in a few months, see, if there's been any change or if you found any other research or anything that may help, and just kind of go from there. Uh, One last comment. Michael says, David, you're a great guy, and those involved with those covert programs are cowards. You are
I know.
stronger and have so much more courage.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great parting comment. I love that. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are out of time so quickly, but we will have David back. We will follow his journey. I will keep you updated, and maybe I can find some other people to come on, and we can do a roundtable on this. Again, I really think that the big thing is the awareness. So please make sure to share this link, share this show with all of your friends, all of your
Yes.
groups. The more we can get it out, the more information is out there, the more power we have. So with that being said, thank you everybody so much, and I will see you next week. Good night, everyone.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.